Hi everybody, my name is Dennis, Milken Scholar 2012. I'm currently rising third year at Harvard Law School. And today I wanted to just address the topic that I think has been on a lot of people's minds since everything has just really, in terms of social justice, has just really gone on people's minds. And that's the issue of defunding the police and abolishment and abolition in general. I think there's a lot of misconception about where this comes from, and I thought that one of the best ways to spend the 5 minutes that I have is to trace the history of the idea of abolition, going all the way back to the abolitionist movement of the 19th century. And so I wanted to kind of trace this lineage through the voices of 5 Black leaders, and the first that I wanted to highlight is Frederick Douglass, who in an 1864 speech called The Mission of the War, said this in the middle of the Civil War. He said, "I end where I began. No war but an abolition war. No peace but an abolition peace. Liberty for all, chains for none. Black men and women, soldiers in war, laborers in peace. A voter at the South as well as the North. America their permanent home, and all Americans their fellow countrymen. Such fellow citizens is my idea of the mission of the war. If accomplished, our glory as a nation will be complete. Our peace will flow like a river, and our foundation will be the everlasting rocks." And so the term that Frederick Douglass used to refer to what the mission of the war was an abolition peace. Not just an abolition war, but an abolition peace. And so the idea is that it didn't just end with tearing something down, such as slavery, but also building something else, building something new. And really what it is building a truly democratic nation. W.E.B. Du Bois, in a book called Black Reconstruction in 1935, a seminal book, coined the term abolition democracy to refer to what the mission of the war was. And so one of the tragedies that kind of came out of the Reconstruction era was, there was a lot of misconception about what Reconstruction was about. There was a lot of propaganda about it being a failure, and there was a lot of glossing over of the accomplishments of African Americans during Reconstruction and the amazing accomplishments that were made, having entire Black communities rising up, and having your first Black Congress people, Black senators. There was a lot of progress that unfortunately through revisionist history kind of tore that down, and we're living with the repercussions today. But if anybody, I highly recommend everyone, if you've not read Black Reconstruction by W.E.B. Du Bois, it needs to be on your next reading list to really understand what is happening right now. And so there's a few folks who have carried on this idea of abolition democracy and the idea of abolition being something that is about building something up. And I want to quote Angela Davis, who said, "Safety safeguarded by violence is not really safety. The abolition of slavery was accomplished only in the negative sense. In order to achieve the comprehensive abolition of slavery, after the institution was rendered illegal and Black people were released from their chains, new institutions should have been created to incorporate Black people into the social order. A host of democratic institutions are needed to fully achieve abolition. Thus, abolition democracy. In thinking specifically about the abolition of prisons during the approach of abolition democracy, we would propose the creation of an array of social institutions that would begin to solve the social problems that set people on the track to prison, thereby helping to render the prison obsolete." Really, so this idea, Angela Davis really subscribes to the idea of, we only accomplish abolition in the negative sense, and what people are calling for now, defunding the police, defunding prisons, and really reimagining what safety looks like, is achieving abolition in the positive sense. I want to quote another activist, Mariame Kaba, who says, "Prison abolition is two things. It's the complete and utter dismantling of prisons, policing, and surveillance as they currently exist within our culture, and it's also the building up of new ways of relating with each other." And so again, you have a lot of activists who have been doing this work for a long time, and I think we're fortunate that we're in this kind of moment where these are popular ideas. And I want to close with quotes from 2 professors, Fred Moten and Stefano Harney, who say, "It's not so much the abolition of prisons, but the abolition of a society that could have prisons. that could have slavery, that could have the wage, and therefore not abolition as the elimination of anything, but abolition as the founding of a new society. And so when you see people on the streets calling for defunding the police, defunding prisons, I really want to challenge you all to think critically and don't just think that these are misguided people who are just thinking very simply, no police and there's going to be anarchy. It has a very long tradition that goes all the way back to the core ideals of this country. And I think that a positive abolition means, having unarmed mediation and intervention teams, decriminalizing nonviolent crime, restorative justice, preventative measures such as investment in education and mental health. I think that if we really commit ourselves to this sense of what abolition means, we will, and we find ourselves now in this moment that is ripe for the potential for real social change, and we can really accomplish what all of these incredible people that I've just quoted have been fighting for centuries. And so that's what I just wanted to highlight today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And to hear more from Dennis, I hope you saw the article that was posted recently on a scholar's website about Dennis, but also he's too humble to say it, but he has a published book on Frederick Douglass. So I encourage you all to get his book and read it as well.